Hey, what's up guys, it's Austin of The Lone Few. This is going to be a little bit of a different kind of video. Probably not actually going to play anything here. So I want to talk about custom games and more importantly the options that we have been given over the years and the severe lack of options that we've been given in this specific game, World War II, and how I hope that we change that direction going into Black Ops 4. We're 2 months out, so hey, if you're watching this, you got plenty of time to include some of these features. So first of all, I do want to, huge credit out to, all these awesome new game modes that we've gotten, like Dogfight, and for a while, I don't know if it's still there. Yesterday, there was Horde Point in here. Yeah, Horde Point, we have all these party games, Infected, Prop Hunt, Gun Game. That's all great. I love that. It's awesome that you're putting these game modes in the game. The problem I have is that all of these features get thrown out into public matches, where, the majority of people play them. But for whatever reason, when you go into custom matches, those game modes just don't exist. The actual custom games menu has not updated with the exception of DLC pack maps since launch. So if you wanted to play a custom game with 5 of your friends, play Prop Hunt, you can't. If you wanted to play Infection, you can't. You have to play in those public game modes. And that especially becomes a problem with seasonal game modes like the Leprechaun and Dogfight, Horde Point, etc. So that's the first thing, is I wish that those game modes would come over to custom games so that we can play them when they aren't there. And of course, it's not for XP, but so that we can play them, and even more so set them up like we could in older Call of Duties. I remember playing MW3, you could fully customize, you could play one in the chamber, but you could change what gun that you have one in the chamber of. So if you wanted to, you could just change, the pistol from, whatever the default pistol in MW3 was to a different one, maybe to like the Magnum or something. Or you could go completely balls to the wall and say, instead of a pistol, everyone gets one javelin shot. Have fucking fun, And this is something that, since MW3, has steadily gone downhill in the idea of the options that you even have to edit game modes that already exist. But before I get into the actual options, I also want to point out that unlike MWR, the seasonal maps that we get, like Headquarters and I don't know what the name of I think it's just Sandbox, I guess, they don't actually show up here in custom games. All that you have are the original 9 maps, each of the DLC pack maps, and they have been nice, and they added shipment. Thank God, because I feel like if they didn't add shipment, this would be a much bigger deal. People would be pissed that, you can't 1v1 people on shipment. But so, they have not added, winter quarantine, even. And I think that's mainly just a waste. Because, after Sandbox is done, it's never going to be played again. At the very least, for another year until Days of Summer comes by. And while that makes sense in a public match, I feel like in customs, the entire idea of a custom match is to give you all of the tools to make the game mode that you want, to play the game the way that you want, rather. And I think that not including maps like Roastin' House, which you have already, gone through the effort of making and coding and putting spawns on and balancing, it seems like just a waste of resources when it's only going to be used for 2 to 4 weeks and then never seen again. And that same exact thing can be applied to game modes, like I mentioned. There is no dogfight mode in custom games. Instead, we're stuck with the 9 core game modes. So that's one aside, that's one little thing where they just aren't putting new game modes and new maps into custom games that I think they absolutely should. Games like MWR and Black Ops 3, and I believe even Infinite Warfare, they do that. I just don't know why Sledgehammer hasn't. And now the second part is something that I've seen going steadily downhill from Black Ops and MW3 all the way down to where we're at now with World War II. And that's the actual game options. So if you go back to Black Ops, there is an unbelievable amount of customization that you have there. You can, by class, change how much health each person has, what their speed is, if they have vampirism or not, letting you make things like, Kill the Juggernaut, where you just make one person have 1,000% health, everyone else has 100%, and, just go wild. You can individually customize how much each perk affects people. So, for instance, you could take steady aim, and instead of decreasing your crosshairs from this much to this much, you could change it to be this much, and just be a complete, just laser everywhere you go. You can make lightweight and marathon, instead of like 100% extra speed, 1,000% extra speed, and you're just fucking speed hacking all over the place. It was great. It was awesome. Fast forward to a game like World War II, and the host in this game can't even make custom classes for people anymore, which I thought was pretty much a staple in this kind of game. Like, if you wanted to make a Michael Myers game mode, we're going back to WW2, where you just have to say to everyone in the lobby, hey, honor system, we're only going to use, the Magnum with tack knife, throwing knife, and, these specific perks, and then just hope that everyone has those classes set. But beyond that, I'm just going to go through the actual rules that we have here in Team Deathmatch. Okay, this is basic, just Team Deathmatch, I believe, right? Yep, just Team Deathmatch. Game rules, time limit, score limit, CODCASTER. Very, very basic, right? Pre-match timer, you can change that, spectating, all that stuff. Kill cam, you can turn on or off. Your mini-map, you can turn on to sweeping, constant, normal, whatever. You cannot turn it off, though, which is a big problem for a lot of the custom games that we try to play, at least. Battle chatter, you can turn on or off. For some reason, that is an option over being able to turn off your minimap still. Don't know why. And then announcer. Again, I don't know why that's something on the game mode itself when there's so many other things that are missing. Spawning, I'm not going to touch this. It's pretty basic stuff. Health and damage is where it really gets frustrating for me, because you can turn hardcore on, and what hardcore does is, first of all, it takes away your radar. So like I was saying before, there is a way to get rid of your radar, but in order to do that, you have to set your health to 30. It locks it right there at 30. No health regen and no friendly fire. Or rather, there is friendly fire. So in other words, when you turn one option on, it locks 3 other options. I don't know why they do this. I'm not sure what the purpose is, because it's a custom game, which means it's not ranked. I don't know what they're protecting against by locking it at, health at 30, right? I don't know what happens if our health is at, 100 on hardcore mode. Does a fucking universe explode? I don't think so. I don't know why they're taking the custom out of custom game, because you flip one little switch and suddenly you're locked out of all these options, seemingly arbitrarily. Seemingly it's just a yes no command, and they've opted for no. And then in a similar vein, I'm not so sure why they do this either. So you can set the number of lives, right? But the only options that you have are, of course, unlimited. 1, 2, 3, then 5, and 9. So if I wanted, 4 lives, sorry, you just can't. I'm not sure why this isn't just a scroll wheel. Even 1 through 9, I'd be fine with. I'm not sure why they have to have you skip like that, and then score streak delay on or off. There is no restrictions process like we've had, since Black Ops, where you can say, hey, no one can use the AK-47, or hey, no one can use a Willie Pete grenade, or whatever. There's no setting score streaks. I mean, even even in MWR, like, you could set how many kills it took to get a specific kill streak, and that's something that we had in Black Ops 1. I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe it was back in MWR, but yet, for some reason, they don't have it here. My favorite part is when you go into something like Gridiron, and for some reason, you have the same kind of options. You can change, like, how many, the score, that you get for everything, right? The reset time, you can set to a minute, and that's the longest. You can change the carrier armor to none, half, double, normal, whatever. But then for some reason, you can change the amount of balls that spawn on the map. Like, anyone is ever using this option? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me that of all things to put in, you keep the ball count so that, I guess, you can play catch in the game mode. I think that was literally back in Advanced Warfare. That was, like, the reason that they had for putting multiple balls in, an option to do that. Which, like, don't get me wrong, I think it's awesome that they have the option to, put down 5 gridiron balls. Sure, that's awesome, that's cool. But I think that if that is the priority, to put that option in, but not the option of being able to make your own classes or, set score streaks for certain people, I think you're just missing the point of custom games. Like, we've steadily gone backwards with these things over the years. The exception is Infinite Warfare, which actually had some really cool different options. Like the ability to just turn a cranked timer on any game mode, or, in Gridiron, you can make it to where instead of, your ball, resetting after, 10 seconds or whatever, at that 10-second mark, it would just turn into a black hole, and suck everything into it and then explode. Like, that's fucking awesome. And there's all kinds of different game modes and things that you can come up with around just even those simple options. You could play gun game, but with a cranked timer, so it's constantly just going and going. You could make a team deathmatch, but with, singularity gridiron balls that, you just have to throw it next to somebody and wait for it to, to kill them. Like, there's so many cool little things that you could do with all of these that I think they're just not capitalizing. Back in MW2, which, mind you, did not have the most options, but MW2 in and of itself had so much shit packed into it that it was like having a bunch of different game mode options. With the amount of overpowered, shotguns and snipers and tactical insertions and, blast shield. There was so much packed into that game that you could just pick any 3, items and combine them into some kind of a fun game mode. And in MW2, like, I would play, some days, in the summers, in high school, fucking 12 hours, never actually set foot in a pub because I'm just, playing Mike Myers and Kill the Carrier. And we do a thing where, I forget what we call it, but we would boost in the beginning to get emergency airdrops and care packages. And then all at once, we'd call them all in. And that's, whatever we rolled in those packages, that's all that we could use to kill people, except for, I think, like a knife, I think eventually we had to say, because some people would get like, oh, I got a UAV, counter UAV, and a fucking SAM turret. Oh no, I don't think there's SAM turrets in that game. But, it just gets some, like, shitty stuff. That was really, really fun to play through. And I feel like anytime that I open up a new Call of Duty and I look at these options, I'm dumbfounded, because, like, it's like you can't even play those types of games anymore. Like, you just can't do those outrageous no-scoping, speed wall hack, game modes where 3 kills and you get attack dogs and shit, You can't race RCXD cars in this, There is no just fuck around mode, that there is no way to fuck around. And I think that's something that we should be embracing as a Call of Duty community. Like, what I'd like to see, and this is something that they almost started to do in MW3 back in the day, is have community game modes. So like in MW3, they had like All or Nothing, and I think Money in the Dank was also a community game mode that they brought into the actual game. I'd like to see them throw a lot of different cool options at us, and then maybe even have like a server browser, or a custom game browser, because I guess they aren't servers. They're all, they're peer-to-peer still. And so people can set up, pretty much public Michael Myers lobbies where you aren't really earning XP, or maybe you earn XP but like at a really slow rate, but something just to, keep the community engaged and keep us like creating things, That's a big thing in like Grand Theft Auto or Minecraft that I think kept those games relevant for as long as they were, because the game wasn't just a game that, they shipped out on disc. It was a game that players were creating. All of the custom maps and races that the GTA community has made that game's life cycle far above what anyone thought that it would actually fucking be. And I think it'd be awesome if they incorporated some kind of browser like that, and then, maybe for events, they pull from community members and they say, hey, you had this really good game mode involving the singularity, gridiron balls. Hey, you had this really cool game mode with, using multiple different capture the flag points, scattered around the map. That's awesome. We're gonna throw that into the actual game, and then maybe give them an armor credit bonus or something. You can make it a contest even. You can keep people engaged that way. I think that Call of Duty in general is just missing a lot of the heart that it used to have back in the day, and a good part of that is the custom games, and a good part of that is the community. And this is a good way to kind of merge those two things and bring us back up to speed, if that makes any sense. So now I've been rambling for a fucking while here, so I'm gonna end it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you like this idea? Do you hate this idea? Do you think that maybe they should be focusing in other ways? I want to know what other people think, because to me this seems like such a simple, easy thing that they could do, and yet they just don't do it. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe, links down below for our Discord, and we have t-shirts now. That should be below the description. We got a cool thing with Teespring now. Go check them out. Buy one if you want. We make no money off them. They're just they're cool if you want them. If you don't, you don't. And yeah, I'll see you guys when I see you guys, because I think Jesus is here out my fucking window with how goddamn bright this has gotten. wasn't this bad when I fucking started? I might just be losing it. I haven't recorded at 6 p.m. before. I guess I gotta think about that from now on. Yeah, I'll see you guys. Peace.